Oh, um, yes, this isn't quite how I expected it to be. I've come round to my friends to feed their cats, and that little cloud turned into a great big one, and I am soaking wet through, even though I have my umbrella up. A car very kindly whooshed past, sent up a water chute, and the bits of me that were under the umbrella got wet, so my hair is wet even. But I thought, nihil desperandum, I will still make a recording. So here goes, with squelchy shoes, soggy trousers, but it's only water, isn't it? And the cats are fed, so that's the main thing. Okay, so I've been asked by people how to set boundaries. It really, really depends on what you need those boundaries for. Sometimes they're for ourselves, and sometimes they're for others. At least the ones for ourselves we have more control over. And I have boundaries set for me that my laptop goes off at a certain hour. My mobile phone goes off at a certain hour. I still have my landline on for in case of emergencies. And that started when I was still doing counselling, and I really didn't want to start taking calls after 9 o'clock. That was unless I had somebody who was on suicide watch, in which case my phone was on 24/7. So those are my boundaries, and I'm only upsetting myself if I don't keep them. Eating is another one. I used to eat regular hours, and now, because I'm retired, unless I've got something happening in a day, then I eat when I'm hungry. And usually that's just twice a day. But sometimes if I've been doing more physical work, then I will have a decent breakfast, a main meal at lunchtime, and a little nibble later on. So those are my current boundaries, and I allow myself to swing between the 2 or the 3. It depends on circumstances. But when it comes to boundaries for others to keep, you need to be very precise. And it's best not to use negative language. It's a bit like, say, keep calm rather than don't panic. You want the emphasis to be on the calm. So when there's a negative in there, our brains can take a different route. So if you don't want somebody to phone you, say, I want you to stop phoning me. Okay, stop is negative, but it's not a not. It's a positive action, stopping. Or if, like me, you want to set the hours, you may phone me between the hours of and set them. If it's coming to agreements with children, or about children, rather than with children, then they need to be really firmly stated. Otherwise, you can collect them at 4 o'clock. It might be 3:30, it might be 4:30, but occasionally that will be all right, because things happen, especially if you're driving somewhere or coming on a bus. Things can be delayed. But if it becomes that the time set is rarely the time met, then you need to re-emphasize that I said 4 and I mean 4. So it really does depend on what you want to achieve. If you are working with someone who is likely not to want to take notice, then if you give them a whole house, they'll just say, well, you know what you can do with those. So maybe one boundary, the one that is the most important to you. Do not come to my house is what you want to say, but again, there's a not in there. So stay away from my house, stay away from my home. So it's a positive. You've got the same meaning, but without that negative that they will get going round in their heads. You can make a whole host, but it's better to have 3 maximum and see how they work out. Be open to discussion. Those aren't working for me. Are they working for you? Can we come to an agreement about changing them? Keeping that dialogue open, if at all possible, benefits both sides. But if not, then you just need to adjust and adapt and make sure they know. But again, that can raise hackles and why should they rule the roost? So the more amenable you can be, the better. But if it's a case of somebody who has been abusing you, then lay it on the line, keep to it. And often you will have legal people involved or the police involved. So take advice from them. Or if you are seeing a counsellor, ask the counsellor for support, because they will know you and they know your circumstances, so they will be able to support. And they always say 2 heads are better than 1, don't they? So that's just a rough breakdown, but it really does depend on what you want to achieve. So I find that by writing down what you want to achieve gets it out of going round and round in here. Then prioritize. And maybe if you go for 2 and they are keeping to those, that becomes the norm. You could maybe introduce a 3rd. Whatever, it depends on circumstances. So as the rain has stopped raining and the swinging bench is soggy, but so am I, so it doesn't really matter. I have fed the cats. I've paddled across the lawn, so I will paddle back home. Yeah, it's only water, and I just wish I'd brought a sponge and some shower gel with me and some shampoo. Oh gosh, my hair. How can my hair be so wet? I had my umbrella. It must have been that car. I did shout, "Oh, you," after them. Yes, if you believe that, you'll believe anything. I think my mother would have been ashamed of me, but it wasn't that bad. It's just that my mother had very strict limitations on words that were allowed to be spoken. And even saying, "Oh, damn," that didn't come on her agenda. So, yes, I rest my case. All right. Thank you for joining me. And hopefully, on the next recording, I will be dry and sitting here in the sunshine. I always ask, even though I know jolly well that I can record here, whether they're at home, away, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But I was brung up to be polite, so I will always ask and say, is it okay? The usual answer is fill your boots, so boots are filled, but sadly with water. Right, I'm getting boring on that topic. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me. Take care, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.